Posted by you/him trying _mybest. AITA for letting my son call my best friend dad? My 30M relationship with my wife Sam, 29F, has been rocky since our son Oliver was born 2 years ago. She got pregnant just a few months after we got married and things were fine up until Oliver's delivery. I assume it was postpartum depression. Sam never sought out a specific diagnosis, but after he was born it was like she just couldn't care less about our child. We hadn't planned to have children so early into our marriage and it was scary, but I can't describe to you the all-encompassing love that comes with being a parent. The fear was worth it for me. It still is and always will be. Throughout Oliver's life, but especially that first year, I was essentially acting as a single parent. The only help I had, and I don't mean for that to sound diminishing because this man is a godsend, was my best friend, Matt, 33M. The plan was for Oliver to be breastfed, but my wife had no interest in it after he was born. I was the one changing diapers and mixing up formula for bottles, and being in the house we shared felt so oppressive. Like the joys of bonding with my son were being sucked out of me because of the energy there. So, I would take Oliver to Matt's. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but there have been exactly 0 times in life where Matt hasn't shown up for me. I've known him since I was 19 and can safely say that even after all that time. But this is the most wonderful thing he's given me. I could sleep soundly knowing my baby would be taken care of. I had a place of refuge. He is so good with Oliver and is my shoulder to cry on. I don't think I'll ever be able to repay him, but I'm definitely trying every single day. Things with my wife have kind of started to look up, but recent events have sent us in a huge downward spiral. Oliver was having some speech delays, but he's been really picking things up as his 3rd birthday nears. He's babbled towards Matt and I for a while now, but Daddy has since been added to his vocabulary, and that is used to refer to us both. I have never corrected him. I checked in with Matt to make sure he was fine, and he said he was honored to be bestowed with such a title. Sam got to hear this recently when I was on FaceTime with Matt, and she basically went ballistic. As much as I hate to admit it, I did say he was more of a parent than she had been, which, while true, is hurtful. I need outside opinions on this. AITA for allowing him to call him dad? Now on to some comments before the update. Posted by earno2652. Info. I feel like there's a lot missing from your wife's side of things. Does she literally do nothing? Does she work? Are you doing all the doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, cooking meals, housekeeping, waking up through the night for your son, getting clothes, going to the park, etc.? Have you talked to your wife about what's going on? Encouraging seeing a therapist? Encouraging outings/spending time with her son? Or do you just go off to Matt's place every chance you get? OP responded with, she works from home during the day. I don't work and we have enough money put back, thanks to help from my parents, that I don't need to while Oliver is this age. She does the grocery shopping as well. Everything else is all me, although Matt does help significantly with the cooking. She's extremely hands-off with him. I've tried to be encouraging, but at some point, I feel like the responsibility to seek him out and create a bond with him is on her. I've suggested she look into things before, and she's brushed me off. Posted by some like Keith Anna. I had severe postpartum depression. It was the lowest I've ever felt in my entire life. My ex-husband was not supportive, he didn't even catch it, my mother did. Even with medication, it took me a year to feel like any semblance of myself. It's been 14 years and I'm still on medication, because I fear feeling that way again. And it destroyed my marriage to have so little support from my ex. The worst part about it was how awful I felt as a mother and person because I was having trouble bonding, and everyone acted like it was something that was instant. It wasn't for me. The low blow you gave her of the insult physically pained me to read. Uta for that comment. Where your wife is, and what she's feeling, is nowhere I'd wish on my greatest enemy. You've asked her if she wants therapy, it's time to tell her it's necessary, or even to call her doctor and talk to them. If you care about your wife, have any compassion for her, and any regard for your son having a relationship with his mother, keep trying. I know you're tired, you're resentful, but please trust me that she's in a pit of despair. I think you could both use some professional help at this point. Good luck. ETA, thank you for the likes and award, everyone. I hate seeing two people suffer, and let me be clear, both mom and dad are suffering. I'm not discounting what he's been going through. Severe depression is hard on more than just the actual patient, and sincerely hope they can both get help. OP responded with, thank you for sharing this. I'm going to take some time to cool off and try to collect myself, then suggest treatment again. Ms. 85 responded with, I couldn't agree more. My sister had severe PPD, and the only thing that got her out of it in addition to therapy was the unconditional support and love she got from her husband. My respect for him grew as he asked my mom and I to help with the baby so he can focus on helping his wife get better. They lived with us for the first 3 months and then he supported her to go back to their home and be independent with their baby. My nephew is turning 2 today and my sister was able to stop her medication and they both have a great bond with the child. So really kindness and non-judgment makes a huge difference. Another thing is some mother with PPD don't even remember how bad they got sometimes. One incident, my sister didn't have enough milk to breastfeed, and baby was crying in hunger, so while her husband was preparing the formula bottle my sister was so guilty, she started to bang her head against the wall. I had to physically restrain her into a tight hug while soothing her so she would be able to calm down. She has no recollection of this incident at all now, and recently we were talking about her PPD and discussed this, and she was genuinely shocked when I mentioned this incident as she didn't remember at all that it happened. Please be kind to women with PPD and get them the right support. Also, research shows that partners of mothers with PPD are twice as likely to get depression than the average population, so I would suggest to opt to go to therapy too, preferably family therapy. Now on to the update. Update: AITA for letting my son call my best friend dad? I never thought I'd be back with an update this soon, or that this would be the update. I came home Thursday with a plan to talk to my wife. I texted her in advance, so I was able to jump right in when I arrived. As suggested to me in the comments of the op, I was vulnerable. I told her I was feeling exhausted and worn down. I said frustration had built up with her being so uninvolved. I said I wanted to see real, major change in the way she interacts with Oliver within the next 2 months, or an ultimatum of her getting help/divorce would be given. I also made it clear that if she wanted to get help now and not wait those 2 months, that was also acceptable. I would assist her however she wanted, but I wanted to see some initiative being taken for our child. At first, I was met with anger. Eventually we were able to have a genuine conversation where she admitted that she didn't feel maternal at all. She felt I had pushed her too hard to have Oliver when she got pregnant, and she often wonders what our life would be like she had made a different choice. Obviously, this was all hard for me to hear. Resentment was building up on both sides, but did it have to build for nearly 3 years? I can't help but feel like it was mostly her responsibility to bring up this conversation. My frustration was over her treatment of our son. Her frustration was over us having a son at all. I can't even fathom a world without Oliver in it, while she was pondering what our life looks like if he never existed. It's been a few days since the conversation, and I'm still feeling a lot. I feel sad for her. I'm very angry for my son and I that the last 3 years could have looked different/saved us from so much pain and exhaustion and negative emotion. It doesn't feel fair. She and I are going to start the divorce process soon. I'm hoping that it will remain civil. I called my parents to update them on the situation. They've been unconditionally supportive of me and were ready to jump into action mode to help. They will financially support us for the time being and offered us a place to stay. Matt and I discussed it, and we don't think that's a viable option. Oliver is already going through a big life change, so taking him out of state to a house he's unfamiliar with would be harmful. It would also complicate things during the divorce. We're moving in with Matt. On top of all the practical reasons why it makes sense, Matt expressed that he would hate for us to be so far from him, that anywhere he is would always be a home for Oliver and me. We still have a lot of things to pack, but we've been here since that conversation. Oliver was already used to life here, so the transition has been smooth. I have a lot of emotions to work through and plan on starting therapy soon. Edit: the mentions of coercion and force are ridiculous. Sam has never said outright that she didn't want a child. In fact, we had conversations prior to marriage about starting a family together. It was just never planned that it would happen so early into our marriage. She was scared about having him so early, and I did my best to assuage those fears by reassuring her, but always giving the option for her to have an out should she want it. There was never the expectation put upon her that she needed to have the baby. Now on to some comments. Posted by an emu on acid. This is actually really sad. There's nothing wrong with not wanting children, but when the child is there, you have to make some tough decisions. Sounds like you guys made the right one for your son, before he starts to notice his mom's emotional absence. I wish you and Oliver, and Matt, all the best, and I'm sure Oliver will flourish in a home where he feels nothing but loved. OP responded with, "Thank you. It's a whirlwind of emotions for me right now, good and bad. Matt is going super dad mode and making sure Oliver and I feel as comfortable as possible. I personally think he deserves all the good things in life. Winning the lottery. Daily massages. A forever cold side of the pillow. Etc. Posted by Throwing into the Ether. So, I'm 100% going to get ripped apart and I know that, but I wanted to ask you. What exactly would you have wanted that conversation to look like, where she brings up regretting having your child? When would you expect her to bring that up, when the kid is completely and utterly dependent on you both or when they're only slightly? How would you have expected her to bring that up? Edit, what would you have expected to happen after that conversation? Especially if you think part of this is that she got pushed to have the baby in the first place, despite reservations? I don't think most people have the tools to handle, having a child was a mistake, because you're not really allowed to feel that way. And if she felt she was pushed to at least try. Well, barring divorce or adoption, what do you expect to do if you tried and trying was the wrong choice? I'm glad you both are separating. None of you are going to be happy. Please really stick through therapy, and maybe seek out therapy for Oliver if you think it'd be prudent. You've both got a lot to work through. Angry_Poutine responded with, "This jumped out at me too. It sounds like she never wanted a child, but Op was so stuck on it she felt she had to. Maybe she thought it'd be alright if he did all the parenting, then he started pushing her to parent and she became completely overwhelmed and felt unheard. I guess the question is, how many times did she bring it up in some small way and he brushed it off? In any case, I'm glad the kid has two parents who want him now. Now on to the last story. Posted by you/Tamibday. AITA for celebrating my birthday, which is the 1-year anniversary of my nephew's death. My 25F nephew, 4M, passed away 1 year ago because of cancer. It was right on my birthday and there was no celebration, there was nothing, because everyone was devastated. My sister Denise is still grieving, she's in therapy and making some progress, but it's been slow. My family and I try to be as supportive as possible. Birthdays in my family are very important, we throw huge parties, I believe and have been taught that birthdays are important and should be cherished. Yesterday was my birthday. Obviously, I felt bad about the anniversary of my nephew's death, but I was also a little down about not being able to celebrate like I used to, and my girlfriend knew that. In the morning, I went to Denise's house, stayed by her side until almost lunchtime, when my mother would stay with her. We didn't want to leave her alone, but no one could stay all day. I went to work and at night, my girlfriend made a surprise at home with a candlelight dinner and a small cake. Something very intimate and for both of us, since my family was in a bad way. I didn't post on social media, but my girlfriend posted a picture of us holding hands and the dinner she made with "Happy B-Day, love." My mom and Denise follow her on Instagram. I woke up the next day to hundreds of texts from my mom and Denise, asking if I was celebrating even though it was such a sad day and how heartless I was to celebrate knowing my sister was in such a bad way. Even though I said it was a surprise, they called me cold, heartless and insensitive to the pain of others, saying I should have refused to celebrate. I was just glad I celebrated, because it's something important to me and I didn't even realize when my girlfriend posted this photo on Insta. BTW, in case you were wondering, none of them remembered it was my birthday. AITA? Now on to some comments. Posted by Mysterious Nobody 1020. NTA. You didn't make your mom, or your sister celebrate with you. It was you and your so. Does Denise expect you to never celebrate your birthday again? Claudster57 responded with, that's exactly what Denise expects. Cheap Shame responded with, and while I'm sure she's heartbroken at the loss of her young nephew, she has a life to live and celebrate while she can, which she should be allowed to. None know the date of passing could or will happen just like births unless planned procedure. She's not the AITA. Happy birthday, hope she's blessed with more while keeping nephew memories alive. Murfnick responded with, our daughter passed away just after she turned 13. On Halloween, which was fitting as it was her favorite day of the year, she got buttloads of candy and was allowed to go to school dressed like a princess. It also happens to be the anniversary of our closest friends. I didn't feel like celebrating their anniversary with them for a few years, but it never occurred to me to resent them for celebrating themselves. And I hide upstairs on Halloween while my husband deals with the trick-or-treaters because every little princess still breaks my heart. Honestly, I feel for Denise, I really, really do. But life goes on. Denise will, hopefully, get to a point where she can join in on all the life going on around her. Edit. Oh wow, this blew up. Thank you, everyone, for the kind words. Our little princess will always be with us, and as many folks said, her memory is indeed a blessing. Claudster57 responded with, don't get me wrong, I also feel for Denise. But demanding that someone not celebrate their birthday alone is a problem. Posted by Peach Fenry. NTA. When I read the title, I thought you had thrown a big, raucous birthday party. Nope. You had dinner with your girlfriend. In no way were you or your partner insensitive to your sister. If anything, I would consider a quiet intimate dinner instead of a large event a very respectful way to acknowledge your birthday without being excessive. Kefri1337 responded with, "This was my assumption too. It was literally the smallest private moment with a photo." Stegosaurus505 responded with, "Exactly, you spent a decent portion of the day grieving with your sister, worked, and had a small private moment at home with your partner. Your partner was also very respectful of the gravity of the day but made sure you were still acknowledged. I can't imagine how you possibly could have been more respectful and low-key. NTA. Your sister has suffered what is surely the worst thing she will ever face in her entire life, but that doesn't mean you are never allowed to be celebrated ever again. I'm very sorry for your family's loss and I hope they come around to see that they let their grief overcome their rational mind. They owe you an apology.